liberty of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside let freedom ring. My native country, the land of the noble free, thy name I love. I love thy rocks and rills, thy woods and templed hills. My heart with rapture thrills like that above. Let music swell the breeze and ring from all the trees, sweet freedom song. Let mortal tongues awake, let all that breathe partake, let rocks their silence break, the sound prolong. Our fathers, God, to thee, author of liberty, to thee we sing. Long may our land be bright with freedom's holy light. Protect us by thy might, great God our King. Let's stay right there and sing the one that we did this morning, America the Beautiful. 696. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. Oh, beautiful for patriotry that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God mend thine every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Good. Let's sing Amazing Grace. I think that would be appropriate for today. Not that it's inappropriate for other days. I had a friend of mine, good friend of mine, asked me one time, he said, how many times do you sing Amazing Grace at your church? I said, well, about once every couple months, give or take, that kind of thing. He said, when I go to church, if that was the only song we sang, that would be enough for me. That's how powerful, how meaningful that song means to him. And I thought, man, that's a tremendous statement. And it's very true, too. 378. beneath the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did the grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace hath brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. Their arms shall fail, and mortal life shall cease. I shall possess within the veil a life of joy and peace. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've known less days to sing God's praise than when we'd first begun. Good, good, Pastor.
unplugged or whatever you want to call it.
Some of y'all might be thinking vaudeville or that kind of thing. No, we're not going to do that. But anyway, what we wanted to talk about tonight is something that involves every one of us. And it's simply taking a look at our Christian walk, taking a look at our life and where we are. You know, what is God doing in our life right now? You know, what does He have in store for us? You know, and like Bruce had mentioned before, using the gifts that He's bestowed on you. I'll just kind of get it going. Years ago, we went on a mission trip to Guatemala, and I mentioned the trip to a buddy of mine, and he said, "Well, why would I go on a mission trip?" He said, "Well, I can't build anything. You know, people go on mission. You know, they build churches or schools and all that kind of thing." And I went, "Now that's true. They do. Sometimes, you know, that is the focus of the trip is to build things, but we're not going to build anything." He said, "Well, I can't. I'm not a plumber either. I can't even fix a leaky faucet." Me neither. I've got two of them at the house right now that I've got a barrel full of silicone gel that's trying to do its job. And I said, "You won't have to do any plumbing." He said, "Well, I can't even put a Band-Aid on somebody very good, so I can't go because I'm not a."
Hello?
Hang on.
They don't want to hear you.
I'll get another one. That's all right. I said, "No, you know, you don't have to do anything that crazy stuff. You don't have to give anybody a shot or anything. Just be willing to minister to people." And he said, "Well, I really don't have any gifts." I said, "Do you know how to read?" "Yeah, I can read." He's a teacher. I said, "Well, read a lesson to the children." He said, "Yeah, but I don't speak any Spanish." I said, "That's why we have a translator." Oh. And this person had thought all these excuses on why he shouldn't have to do it, or why he couldn't do it. And instead he didn't. He should have spent his time focusing on what God has given him to use. Well, he had the financial resources to go. He could read. He loved children. And if it weren't for the fact that his wife got very ill before the trip, he would have gone on the trip with us. But I did take two people from Hazlehurst with me, Brandon Harrington and Craig Summerlin. And they had a wonderful time and all that. But it was a true revelation for those that went, because they realized that, hey, God's blessed me with music. I can minister to people in another country with music, just like we can do on Sunday morning, just like we can do anywhere we go. We use the talents that God gives us to witness and to minister to people and to love on people. That's the whole point of doing what we do.
Well, and that's part of our challenge. I mean, for those of us that were here this morning, what really moved me as the pastor of this church was the fact that when Dennis came down and knelt at the rail, I think virtually the entire congregation was up here praying over him. We don't all have to go on these trips. We don't all have to go. You know, I've been to Russia. I've been to Cuba. I've been to Peru and other places. And it's important for us to have those who are willing to shelve their own desires and to go where God's calling them. You know, sometimes I think when Janet had some real struggles when I was being led to go to Peru and I was being led to go to these other locations, because it's not easy. I mean, the one thing that's nice about where Dennis is going, there's really not a big language barrier, right?
Yeah, this is the first country I've gone to where we didn't have to take a translator. Although when they get them animated and they start debating on what's the best direction to get to Edinburgh or one of these other cities, when they get going, it's pretty hilarious because we don't have a clue what they're talking about. And they're speaking in the King's English. When Shirley and I first got married, we talked about some Christian things because I was a new Christian. She'd been a Christian for probably about 10 years, and I've been a Christian maybe not even 10 months. And she mentioned about when you go and tell people about Jesus, that you go to Jerusalem, Judea, or Samaria. And of course, if you don't quite understand what that means, which is, I didn't understand what it meant simply this. For us, it means witnessing to people in Hazlehurst, or in Jeff Davis County, or in the surrounding areas. And is fun and exciting and, a little bit anxious for me to go, across the pond and go to these different countries, which I'll never be able to thank God enough for giving me an opportunity for it. We all have those opportunities. They were just a little bit closer to home. When Shirley and I were serving in Glenville, there was a parade, the Glenville Onion Festival. The onions grow in Tatnall County, by the way. That's what they tell me. But anyway, during the parade, it was really hot. I mean, it was a scorcher. It was probably upper 90s. And did you know that there was a church group? You know what they did? Instead of going down the street with their float, like some of them did, which is neat, and music and all that kind of stuff, they were handing out bottled water. And I'm telling you, that was the one part of that parade I'll never forget. Now, I mean, I was okay with the heat, okay with it. But the look on people's faces, perhaps that weren't believers, or people that maybe they weren't real churched. I hate that term, but for the story it works. Mm-hmm. But those people touch people's lives by a simple bottle of water on a hot day. That doesn't take much skill, y'all. All that takes is a little bit of effort on our part to say, you know what, we can do this for these people.
You mean I can do it too? Well, the bottom line, handing out a bottle of water, handing out whatever we can to make life a blessing. It's the random act of kindness kind of mentality that we have to embrace. I know we've had some opportunities, even since I've been here in Hazlehurst, we've had some opportunities to be embracing that random act of kindness, but it hasn't always turned out that way, has it? I mean, we've had the parade getting canceled last year and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, things will come up. Satan does a pretty good job at trying to mess things up for us. He's been at it a long time. He won't ever stop until Jesus comes back and says, all right, that's it. You had your shot. Enough's enough. But the important thing to do is you have to look at yourself and you have to think, what does God want me to do? What is he, we all go through seasons. Janice is going to go through a major season in her life, just a couple of short weeks. And as excited as she is about that, there's some uneasiness about it for her. It'll be the first time in many, many years that on Sunday morning she will not sit on the organ pew and play. I'm not trying to make her cry. She and I have had this conversation before. But I know, because of her sweetness and her love for the Lord, that God's going to open this huge door for her. And there's going to be ministry opportunities for her that she might not have ever seen coming. Because God's just cool like that. A year ago I was telling Jay Woodard, who has been like a mentor, teacher, and a friend to me at the middle school for all those years, and when I got moved from the middle school to the primary, I got my feelings hurt. Pretty bad. And I really didn't understand what was going on. And I didn't trust God for about 3 or 4 days. I was mad, upset, all those negative emotions. And when God revealed to me, listen, I know what I'm doing, just trust me. It's probably been the most fulfilling, satisfying, loving years I've ever had as a school teacher. I mean, I've had a great time. And it's opened up other things for me to allow me to come to this church and serve with you all and lead in music and develop friendships and strengthen old friendships and develop new ones. And see, God, He knows what He wants for us. All we got to do sometimes is just get out of His way. When my dad was dying of cancer, about a month before then, he said, I wonder why God kept me alive after all these years. He had battled all kinds of ailments, a stroke and an abdominal aortic aneurysm that he survived, all this stuff. He was a tough old bird. And he said, why do you think I'm still here? I said, because God's not done with you. He still wants you to sing in that choir every Sunday morning. He still wants you to smile and love on people. And when people call you about a house, what should I do about this? Because he was an architect. You can still talk to people about it. You might not be able to draw the plans anymore, but you can still tell people, hey, you might want to try doing this way. There's things for you that you could still do because God still has you here to do them. And it's important for us to remember that.
Well, I do want to, before we end up spending 3 or 4 hours here tonight, I want you all to think about something. Has God blessed you? Has God given you gifts and opportunities to minister to those around you in your neighborhood, in your church? But do you realize that God, do you actually kind of take that unto itself and say, Lord, I'm so grateful that you've laid, maybe I'm not playing an organ, maybe I'm not playing an organ like Janice, but I can definitely love on people and help them out. I hope you're seeing that each one of us, God is using. It may be a little bit of a challenge to come back and say, well, I'm not exactly certain where God wants me, but God wants me to be involved. And that's part of where we as a church need to be kind of growing in our own understanding, growing in our own grace. All of this stuff, it's not easy for us to say, oh yeah, I've got it down pat. I know exactly where God wants me. I know exactly what God's doing with me. Did you know you were going to Scotland this year?
Well, yes and no. I knew I was going to Scotland, but I didn't know what God was preparing for us while we were there. And because of our faithfulness, and because of his faithfulness, because of our obedience, he opened up doors that weren't open a month ago. Like for these schools that I mentioned this morning and these outdoor concerts. Can you imagine if you went to another country? Just think about this. Let's say Italy. Okay, Jay and Sue, you guys decide, let's just go to Italy. Get on a plane and fly over there. And as you're going through, you're wandering through a marketplace, maybe looking for some souvenirs or just kind of out. And you hear music, and it's a live band. And they're playing music that's familiar to you. Would you not wander over just for nothing else, for the curiosity factor? Okay, you would, because all of us love music anyway. And for us to be able to play at these outdoor places is really a miracle, because when we were there 2 years ago, they said, no, y'all stay in the churches and the schools, leave the public alone. And this lady, Margaret McKenzie, who was our host, she made it happen. She went to this council member at her church and they said, she didn't say, will you let them play? You know what she said? She said, pray about it and let me know what God lays on your heart. That's a godly woman. And the next day he called back and said, tell them they can come Monday afternoon sometime after lunch, which is the perfect time. So, sometimes we don't see what's coming. So the prayer is, Lord, reveal them to me. Show me what you want me to do. Make sure I'm equipped, which he will. Make sure I'm equipped to do the ministry that you have called me to do. Whether it's handing out bottled water or getting on an airplane, it doesn't matter. If you're furthering the kingdom for God, then you're doing the right thing, and it's pleasing to God.
And that's probably the biggest challenge for each of us. I look at this crowd that's here tonight, and I see a vast plethora, that's a big word for today, of gifts that can be used in a variety of ways. But I also see, just from my knowledge of each one of you, I also see how it could be fearful. We want to make certain that we're doing what God wants us to do, right? I mean, isn't that kind of our prayer on Sunday mornings in worship? We want to be where God is calling us to be. We want to be standing in the middle of that current that is God's will as it flows down the river. But folks, it means we have to be faithful. And I just want to add this to our thought process tonight. Like I was saying, there was about 7 or 8 people over in the Fraser building tonight. They were watching a movie. They're going to be sharing a little bit afterwards, but they're trying to drum up interest in the young people. When you look around this room, I hate to say this because I'm going to lump myself in with everybody else in here. I'm not a youth anymore. And, well, you're not a youth either. So, but the bottom line is we can share God's love with people that need to hear it. And is this the venue for doing it? I don't know. But are we willing? Are we willing to open up ourselves to be reaching out to this neighborhood, to this, not only this congregation, but this neighborhood, these areas around here, the Jerusalem, Judea, and all the ends of the earth? It's got to start somewhere. Remember, we've been on the corner of Tallahassee and Church Street for, well, I guess it's 102 years now, something like that. Are we done? That's not a rhetorical question. I want to know, are we done? Okay, maybe I need to ask it a different way. Do we have things that we should be doing for the kingdom of God? Okay. Sometimes it can be really scary to think that we have a responsibility. Sometimes it can be really scary to think it's time for us to grab a hold and run forward. That's not always what we have to worry about. We just have to trust. We have to trust God. Let God lead us. Let God love on us. Let God, we've been talking a little bit in morning worship about what is God like? What are we like? Well, you know what? Next week is going to be kind of an answer to those prayers, because we think that we understand, okay, God is like this. God's bigger than anything we can picture. And we, as his children, have an opportunity to share. But the neat thing is, when we get together with God, wow, watch out, right?
Right. No, that's right.
Well, I mean, but we just didn't want to do this without your realization that this is a discussion. I mean, some of us look at the opportunities to minister to the people in our area, to minister to the families of Hazlehurst and the children and the youth, and we don't always get the chance to be exactly what we feel called to be. I want us to know that no matter who we are and what we are, God is going to use each one of us. God is going to love us. And one of the things that I loved when Janet and I were serving in Tifton was he took my wife who's, by the way, just so you know, she has been officially voted on by the district board. She is now certified and ready to move on to the next step. No pressure, okay? So when we think about those sorts of things, she was, when we were in Tifton, I was serving at the big church in town. I was the associate pastor. There were, we had over 1,000 people as part of our congregation. She had, let's see, what did you have originally, like 20, I think, or something? It was a very small crowd to start with. But the more we started working together, God took that 20 or 30 people. We ended up having 80, 90 people on Sunday mornings. We had, and guess what? We were the only white folk in the congregation. They wanted us. Part of me really struggled with the fact of, you sure you want me, this white guy up here, to preach to you and love on you and all that? They wanted it. They became such a hungry, not that they didn't become, they were a hungry congregation. And we were able to minister and to love them. I mean, that was a season for us, being able to see God at work in that congregation. But I believe God was using that to get us ready to come here. I look at this congregation, and how many people did we have this morning? Did anybody count? I'm a bad boy. I don't It was 90?
Yeah, I think it's about right.
Okay. Well, to consider that Janet and I were working in a congregation of 10 or 20 and seeing the growth come out of there, God's using us here to help us see how can we make a difference in Hazlehurst, in our lives and in the lives of the people around here. That's a lot of, that can feel overwhelming, but who do you trust? Do you trust God? That's not a rhetorical question. Do you trust? And if you trust God, He will make it worth your while. He will make your life be more than you've ever pictured. You know?
I did want to share one more story with you. This is a really good one. Might want to get your hankies ready. About 5 years ago, I went to Ukraine. Yeah, there you go. I'm telling you. About 5 years ago, we went on a trip to Ukraine. I know most of you have been, if not all of you, been paying attention to the news the past couple of months about all the political strife that's happening in Ukraine. Well, one of the sections that's been under attack more than anything is one of the areas that was very, very close to where we were, which is the island nation just below it. It looks like it's Crimea, right? But they pronounce it cream anyway. It's that area that's really under a lot of turmoil. Well, when we went down, we went with the jazz band, the Metro Big Band, and I signed up late because you pray about it and you sign up and you get on. Well, they already had 4 trombone players, rats. So I didn't dare play anything else, not with that band. They were really good. But they needed somebody to run sound. Well, I knew a little bit about sound, so I agreed to run sound. Like, long story short, we get down there, our sound equipment got lost in transit. So when we showed up, we didn't have any sound equipment. So the first day or so, this young guy named Yuri was apprenticing how to run sound for international groups that would come to Ukraine. Well, he didn't know I was coming, and I didn't know that he was going to be there. However, the first concert, we used their sound equipment, and Yuri and I sat next to each other. I'm going to sit right next to you, Bruce, because this is a little bit of a visual thing. And the soundboard is right here. Okay, now, I raised a lot of money to go on this trip. I put in a lot of money on my own, not to make the financial part of it key, just to understand, okay? I mean, I really, really worked hard to build support for this trip. So all the money got in, We were at the first concert, and the soundboard's right here. And our group leader at camp said, now, you're the sound man, you adjust sound how you see fit. Okay. So as I reached over to start turning on mics and that kind of thing, Yuri, here, do like I just did. Like, Yuri just kind of went like that. The European thing of don't touch is just gently push somebody's hand away. Okay? So he did that, and I let him adjust sound. He did okay. So after the concert, I told Camp of what had happened, and Camp said, look, you're the sound guy, you just do it. He'll understand. Okay. Day 2, day 3, day 4. Finally, our stuff shows up. Okay. And Yuri had been very nice, but he didn't talk. He knew about as much English as I knew Cyrillic, as I knew Slavic. So, there was hand gestures, that kind of thing. That was about it. So finally, the 4th day we were there, we'd get ready to do a concert, and we had our sound equipment. So hopefully I was thinking, okay, Yuri has got to understand. Now it's my equipment. You can help me run chords, but I'm running sound. Same thing. Kept pushing my hand away. So now I'm starting to think, okay, God, I ask all these people to give me money and raise support. I put a lot of money on my own. Why am I even here? Why? And Satan he was getting me bad. Started to have a bad attitude, all that kind of stuff. Didn't shave for a couple of days. I mean, I just was not into this trip. Getting kind of angry. So day 7, day 8 comes around. He was doing the same thing. I was getting toward the last day of the trip. And Camp had somebody to translate. And the translator had been telling Yuri, Dennis is sound, okay? Okay. So my friend Ben, one of the trombone players, got sick for a concert. So, hey, I'm a trombone player. I actually played trombone that night. So that was kind of cool. It's like, thank you, Lord. kind of gave me a little bit of respite from that. Next day, last concert. Got everything set up, and Yuri's there, and start to turn everything on, and does it again. Oh, man. So after that, we had a dinner time, and after the last concert, we give our love offerings to the hosts, to other people that have touched our heart during the week and that kind of thing. And I was still kind of had that black cloud over my head. I was still just doubting, Lord, why? I mean, why do I even bother, to sub for Ben one night? Because Camp's the trombone player, he could have played. So we're getting done with dinner, and Camp walks over and hands me this envelope. And I said, hey, Camp, and he said, give that to Yuri. And of course I knew what it was, and me being me, the other side of me, you don't know. I said, what's in it? You know what's in it, give it to him. I said, you want me to give the love offering to Yuri? He said, yep. Okay, because you don't say no to Camp. So the translator gets up and I get up, and Yuri's the last one. And he's about my size, young guy. So through the translator, I said something and I'll paraphrase, Yuri, this is a gift from us to thank you for the hard work this week. I appreciate all of your help that you've given to me, as I'm biting my lip. I thank you for all the help that you've given to me. Thank you for being such a good servant to the Lord and helping with our ministry. God bless you. I hand him the envelope, and the translator finishes, and he almost broke my ribs with the hug. I mean, it was the tightest hug. I guess if he was a boa constrictor, he'd have been close. And there were tears just rolling down this guy's cheeks. And Camp looked at me, doggone it. Camp looked at me and went, he's kind of nodding. It's like, okay, Lord, now I get it. So if God calls you to do something, that doubt starts to kind of creep in, like, why am I doing this? God's got you there. Just trust him. There might be a little black cloud once in a while, might be some tears, but God will bless you more and more than you will ever believe.
And this is where we're going to leave it off for tonight, because the discussion is nowhere near over. We want everybody here to be praying, everybody here to be thinking about what God is going to use you to do. And so I want to encourage you as we go forward from this place tonight. This is a time for you to be in prayer. This is a time for you to be asking God, what do I do now? I've been a member of this church since nigh onto a grasshopper. Now it's time for me to ask what? Let God tell you. Let God lead you. Let God love you. And then you get blessed by the Uris of the world. Yep. And your world will be so much different as a result. You don't need a language to make it work. You just need that connection, that look, that love, that hug. The world becomes a different place. Dennis, can you wrap us up with a prayer?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this evening. Thank you for the words that you've laid on mine and pastors' hearts. We thank you, Lord, for all these people that were here tonight to hear your words and to hear just a glimpse of what could be this summer as our ministries begin to unfold to us, as school gets out and the kids are free, and other people might have some time on their hands that they normally don't have during the school year. Lord, we just ask you to give us ministry opportunities. Never let us allow us to be complacent and content. Always challenge us. Always give us those opportunities, Lord, so that we can tell people about you, because that's the reason we're here. We thank you for the beautiful weather you've given us, and just ask you to continue to bless this church and be with those that are on our prayer list and those that have recently have come into some illness. And we praise you for healing Jane as she's able to she hopefully will be able to come home tomorrow. And we just ask you to be with us this week, Lord. Give us those opportunities and bless us along the way. Amen.
Brothers and sisters, as we go from this place, let God's grace carry you, and let God show you where your help is needed, and let him lead you closer to his ministry. Thank you, Lord, for all that you're doing with us, and continue to love us through all of this. And we ask all this in your Son's name. Amen. Go in his grace.